When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast that's so angry, it has a bone to lick with you.
Nothing gets me hard like anger.
I mean.
I might... What?
I mean.
Well.
It's good. Angry sex?
Angry sex?
So hot.
If I was actually angry, I couldn't.
It's the best time. You can take out all your aggression.
Okay.
On that ass.
Choke me, daddy. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Katz.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today we're going to talk about country. Yeah, we is.
Country music.
Y'all.
Mm-hmm. Hook 'em.
Grand Ole Opry. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about country music.
Yeah, we'll talk about why in a little bit. But first. Okay. At a certain level of Patreon, if you send in 100 words to use my hole, I will say them. Here we go.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes. I'm preemptively annoyed with you.
This week we have 100 words. It's from Ryan Sedgley. Rural communities are a front line for LGBTQ plus activism. What?
You just started with the part that is 100 words instead of the entire paragraph.
Just to fuck with you.
Wow. Okay.
Rural communities are a front line for LGBTQ plus activism. It is in small towns and communities where organizers work every day to build a more inclusive world, putting their asses out there in face of far-right, neo-Nazi, and other generalized hate-mongering wanker faces. This year, queer folks in Montrose, Colorado are celebrating our first ever annual Pride Festival on June 8th from 3 to 8 p.m. Huge shout out to the amazing efforts of the organizers, the queer community, and our allies, and former Mayor Barbara Bynum, who proclaimed June Pride Month as her last official act as mayor. He includes a link here that their Pride Festival is at www.htop.org, giggle, htop.org/Montrose-Pride. That's MONTROSE-Pride.
That's amazing. I love that Pride is spreading beyond big cities and into the suburbs and more rural communities. Yeah. I think that's really important and a great sign.
And it seems to mean more in those smaller places, right? Like the big ones have gotten so corporate and like who should be there and everybody's all like
sponsored by Absolute Vodka.
Exactly. But there's something that just feels really like wholesome and real and important in places that aren't Seattle or LA or Chicago or whatever.
Yeah, like 20 people marching down the street waving a flag. You know, it means a lot to be that visible and out in front of a community, a smaller community where everyone knows each other and will see, and you can't take that back.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks, Ryan, for using my whole... I'm sorry I didn't read the rest of your email, but
this is the way the 100 words was intended, the way God intended it.
All right. We also have a correction to a correction.
Oh.
That I think is funny.
Okay.
It turns out that Ncuti Gatwa, I saw an interview that he did with an outlet about Doctor Who, but in there he said, actually, my name's pronounced Ncuti.
I saw this. I actually saw this and thought about you because I was like, Mike really made a point to learn how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, he said he had a conversation with his mom, and she was like, "You're saying your name wrong."
When he was like 24 or something like that.
Yeah. Ncuti Gatwa. Yeah. Okay. Great. Do we have anything else to say here, or is it news time?
I think it's news time.
Okay. Do you want to say here's the news?
Here's the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
Oh, life's little pleasures, Kyle. Okay. News the first. Okay. I'm going to talk about this ridiculous story first, and tragic. A Georgia police officer has been arrested for the murder of a Lyft driver.
Ooh.
Kobe Minor was charged with murder and aggravated assault following the Wednesday night incident, which left driver Reginald Folks, 35, shot to death in his own car, according to an arrest affidavit obtained by local outlet WSB-TV. This is in Georgia. But the police officer had requested a Lyft ride home from a colleague's house shortly after midnight, according to the records. Kobe Minor is his name, and he said that he grew suspicious when folks began talking on the phone to someone else in a foreign language and requested to be let out. They were on the highway, State Road 14, so the driver did not comply and kept driving. The officer then attempted to open the door, which was locked because the car was moving, and when the driver began to reach back into the back seat of the car, the officer shot him in the head 3 times.
Oh my God.
Him. He then broke a window, exited the car, flagged down a bystander who said in her witness statement that Minor claimed, quote, that driver is in a gay fraternity and was trying to recruit me, which of course, even if true, justifies shooting him in the head, right?
Right, yeah. I mean,
does not.
That's hot, but...
A gay fraternity that does recruitment? Yeah. He surrendered to law enforcement upon their arrival, has since resigned from his position at the Atlanta Police Department.
Good.
He was already on leave following another incident in December of 2023 when he was arrested after crashing his car while he possessed 20 unprescribed Xanax pills. The family said that they were heartbroken. The victim's mother, Marshall Folks, said that her son was training to become a professional wrestler, and that she is very proud of the man that he became. Everywhere I went, people met him and enjoyed him. He always ran into people that he knew. He was a friendly guy, very social. Reggie was pretty much the life of the party. And so I guess what I really want to talk about here is, first of all, police officers are dickbags.
Yeah, they feel like they have a sense of authority over every situation just because they have a gun and went through 20 hours of training or something. You know, like they have this unchecked power that is dangerous.
Absolutely. Number 2, just because somebody speaks a foreign language doesn't mean they're the enemy or bad.
Nope.
Number 3, thinking that somebody might be gay doesn't mean they're trying to recruit you. You're not that hot. Don't flatter yourself.
Yeah.
And even if they are trying to recruit you, you can't attack them or murder them
because of it. Yeah. For that, like, you know, that the fact that that's where his defense, like his mind jumped to that being his defense. You know, he has some anti-gay shit going on already.
Absolutely. Probably gay. He's probably
internalized homophobia.
We know that the most virulent homophobes are, on average, gayer than people who aren't. And they're just in denial.
Yeah.
Or fighting it or whatever. Anyway, I don't believe that this man was queer in any way. I can find no confirmation or denial of that fact. But again, it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
The fact that this officer wanted to use that as the excuse is fucking ridiculous and says a lot about what certain parts of our society are like losing their goddamn minds.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, news. The second we've got it. Oh God, Kyle.
Oh no.
Kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, Harrison Butker.
Oh, sure.
If you haven't been following this, especially because you're not into American football because you're not American or you're gay or both, he gave a controversial commencement speech at Benedictine College, which is a Catholic institution, in which he said a whole bunch of really horrific shit. But I wanted to talk about the ones that have to do with our show, the gay stuff.
We should have called this podcast The Gay Stuff.
The gay stuff?
Yeah, that would have been fun.
He said, okay, first of all, I don't know if he's gay or not, but he definitely says that he's not a whole bunch of times in different ways.
That's what straight people do all the time, is just confirm their orientation over and over.
But whoever does his hair and beard is for sure gay. If he does it himself, he's gay.
Well kempt.
Yeah. Anyway, I just don't... Why... Couldn't he just be slightly less attractive? That's all I'm asking. Anyway, he said in this speech to students that they should, quote, have a true God-centered pride, not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. He also attacked... he said abortion is murder. He says it's impossible to be Catholic and pro-choice, and shit on President Biden because he is famously Catholic and pro-choice, which, so you can.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's legal.
He said that bishops are misleading their flocks, that there are a lot of Catholic bishops who are being more permissive with progressive issues than others. He said world leaders are pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth of America. The stuff that everybody's freaking out about is, though, when he basically says that a woman's place is in the home. He said, quote, "I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. Because if she didn't say that, I'd probably beat her up."
My life began when I became a mother. That's when
I gave up all personal ambition so that I could have my man tell me what to do. It cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you ask her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. Are you fucking kidding me?
This is like old school shit. This is old school.
This is women are supposed to be barefoot and pregnant and do what their man says and not step out of line and like feel awesome about the fact that they have no other role. Like it's wild to me. And of course, now there's controversy about like the Kansas City Chiefs are like trying to figure out whether they're going to do anything about the fact that he said all of this and feels this way. The NFL is trying to get involved. There are people that are calling for him to be punished. People are making, I think, apropos comparisons between him and Colin Kaepernick, who was just demonstrating how he felt about certain issues and yet was ostracized and eventually fired from his position for kneeling during the national anthem. So clearly those people don't give a fuck about free speech if they think that it's okay on this end but wasn't on the other, or vice versa. I think he should not be fired. I do think he can say whatever crazy old fucking thing he wants to, and it doesn't have anything to do with his ability to be a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. And what a dickbag buckface asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the NFL is actively working on trying to be more inclusive, and it would make sense if they had an anti-discrimination policy that included something like, you know, where's the line? How homophobic do you have to be before the NFL cares and steps in? I don't know what that line is, but there's certainly a line. So did he cross? Is this past the line? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I'm on the fence.
It's also interesting to me a little bit that the NFL right now is in this place where if you just look at the numbers, just look at the business of the whole thing, Taylor Swift, who is for the most part an ally.
Yeah.
We're not going to get me canceled this episode, Kyle, please. Yet. Oh my God.
We have more to talk about.
But Taylor Swift and her being with Travis Kelce has created this horde of women who are now suddenly into football when they weren't before. And
they got out of the kitchen and went to the living room.
Yeah, absolutely. But the NFL needs to be mindful of the fact that that audience tends to be pro-LGBT, and it is a numbers game.
Yeah.
If they don't have consequences for this person who espoused all of these values that arguably their biggest growing audience is against, they're losing money, right? Like, and so I'm interested to see how it all comes down.
This is also like a commencement speech. Like, what are you talking about? That part of it is not even about. It's just like, what the fuck? You're supposed to talk about your future's bright and work hard and you're about to be a citizen of the world and shit like that.
Yeah, not like how many women were in that audience? And he's basically saying, "Congrats on your degree. Please don't use it."
Sorry for all that money you wasted.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. News the last?
Yeah.
All right. Actually, wait.
What?
Derek, put him on the dickbag fuckface asshole list.
Ooh.
Great.
He's there.
Thank you. He's there. Awesome. News the last. I just think this is adorable. So there is, this is from the UK. Manchester City Council member John Connor Lyons was just re-elected less than a month ago. And he says that he thinks he at least partially was successful because his campaign run a bunch of advertisements on Grindr.
Yeah, I love it when that happens.
His advertisements included playful taglines such as, quote, "No ghosting, just voting." It'll be tight. Nice. And put him on top.
We've run ads on Grindr.
Yeah, we have. For Scruff.
Grindr.
For our live shows?
For Scruff on our live shows in the events, but we ran actual like ads on Grindr for our ghosting episode.
Oh, maybe we should do that again.
Yeah, maybe. Ghosting had a good that was a good rate of return.
Yeah.
We need to come up with clever taglines like that.
Let's have a business meeting.
Okay, let's do it right now.
Okay, great. He represents the Piccadilly ward, which I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does. And he said that he believes that the large population of LGBTQ plus people in Manchester needed representation, and that he was the right one to do it, and he knew that the best way to reach them was going to be on Grindr. He is part of the LGBTQ plus community, but he said, quote, "I used the app myself many years ago when I was at university." He still does.
Yeah.
So I knew the vibe I was going for, and thankfully it worked. We saw our vote share increase from the previous year by 9%, and that was in part down to these Grindr ads. Yeah. And at least in the UK, Grindr was 2023's most popular dating app among users aged 54 and older.
Wow.
So the idea that it's just a young person's place is incorrect. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of people we want to see on ads on Grindr, I'm going to
People we want to vote for?
Sure, that's better. I want to thank the following new Patreon member, Alex.
Alex?
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
You get the spotlight all yourself. Hi.
You're welcome.
If you want to get ad-free episodes a day early, get bonus segments, bonus episodes, use Mike's Hole, come to Patreon Happy Hours, a bunch of other benefits, go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Do it. You want to talk about country music?
Let's talk about country music.
Okay, so we have this gigantic list of episode ideas, and we try and somewhat fail, but we try to also mark down who asked for it. So at least one person asked for this as an episode. We think.
Brooke Eden requested this. This was also a request on the survey that we did, and also Derek, our producer, asked for this. So
known line dancer Derek.
Yeah. So several requests for this, and here we are.
Great. Let's start with some personal, Kyle.
Oh, okay, sure.
Other than Beyonce, do you listen to country music?
Nope. Nah.
I make you do it sometimes, but it's pretty rarely.
Because I sit in your car sometimes, and so.
And you've been in my crazy reunion a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Or just once. I forget.
I think once.
Yeah. And country is what we do.
Yeah. But otherwise, no. I'm trying to think of the last time I decided to, for myself, listen to country, and it's never.
Other than Beyonce?
No.
Oh.
Even that, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. We'll fix that.
Yeah. I have a whole segment on Beyonce, so stay tuned.
Great. So before I talk to you about the history of country music, I am interested. What makes country music country music?
This is a good question. I don't know this because...
It's like porn, right? You know it when you see it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know it when I see it. It's like porn. I don't know it when I see it.
You just assume everything's porn.
Yeah.
If you try hard
This
enough.
is porn if we want it to be. No, I really don't actually know. Having listened to now a bunch of songs, I'm like, is that really country? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you would be a better person to ask. What makes country country?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, this was a fun segment.
Well, so I did want to make the point. I think that just like, in evolutionary biology, they talk about the idea of species and speciation and how it is not so cut and dry, especially like religious dickbag fuckface assholes where they're like, I didn't evolve from an ape because it wasn't just like what ape gave birth to a human. That's not how shit fucking works.
Right.
Things evolve over time, and it's only by looking backwards that you're like, at some point, and it's not a hard and fast line, it changed, right? Mm-hmm. So music has been around forever, and the roots of country music have also been around forever. The things that tend to be true about country music, at least in the modern sense, is that it's usually about working class or blue collar American life, that it is very deeply based in Southern culture. A lot of things like drinking culture are part of country music. And then it's about instrumentation. Like you usually expect there to be banjo, steel guitar,
a guitar.
So there are some things that seem to be commonalities, but none of those things are limited to just country music. And there are lots of parts of country music that include things that aren't on that list. So it is muddy. right? Like there are a lot of people who would say that Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sweet Home Alabama,
Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are blue,
is country, or would count as country if it were to be released today instead of in the 70s.
What was it considered in the 70s?
Rock. They're a Southern rock band.
Gotcha.
But there's that Southern component that does bring with it a whole bunch of country music overtones or whatever. Anyway, the roots of the history of country music. Country music, according to a lot of people, including Congress,
Oh, really?
yeah, goes back to the 1920s. So it's rooted in American folk music, such as old-time music, African American music, and Appalachian music, or Appalachian music. There have been, over the years, a bunch of other traditions mixed in. This is from the Wikipedia article, including Mexican music, Irish music, Hawaiian music, and blues music has had a heavy influence on what eventually became country. So those people who are really just being racist, who say that Beyoncé can't do country because she's black,
Right.
they'll try to say because it comes from white people roots. They're incorrect.
Right.
There is a lot of African American, there's black influence on American, quote unquote, white country music, and it's whitewashing history to say otherwise. Now, well, we'll talk about Beyonce when we get to Beyonce. So the reason I really, really wanted to talk about this, though, comes down to this really intriguing idea from George Chauncey's book about gay New York that I was reading.
Oh, you love that book.
I love that book. And he makes the point that it used to be that gay people, LGBTQ people, found their safety in poor, blue-collar, working-class neighborhoods like the Bowery in New York, that were more diverse and had lots of different religions, ethnic groups, etc., where their differences were more tolerated because differences in general were more tolerated. At some point, it became a rich white people thing to be accepting of gays, and basically blue-collar and working people, their attitudes shifted away from gay people more toward religion and exclusion of LGBT people by extension. That very much happened in country music. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but there are some examples of absolute faggotry in early country music in the 20s and even as late as the 30s.
Wow.
All before like the Pink Scare, and the dynamics shifted after World War II and people moved to the suburbs, and we had the white picket fence families and social conservatism reigned, etc. So Dr. Nadine Hubbs, who's the author of a book called Rednecks, Queers, and Country Music, she says that it's all just deep-seated classism. She said, quote, "Up until the mid-20th century," that's the time frame that I'm talking about, "the sin of the working class had been that they were a bunch of immoral, deviant queer lovers. Then in the 1970s, or by the 1970s, when social politics took such a big turn with the women's rights movement, the gay rights movement, the civil rights movement, it wasn't cool for middle-class people to be intolerant. It was cool to be tolerant. So somehow the sin of the working class became that they were a bunch of degenerate, deviant, queer haters. As a result, the working class queer community, one that in Dr. Hubbs's words has existed as long as we can possibly document, was essentially erased from the genre." So at least she, in this book, she's making the argument that country, if you feel like country is anti-gay, and I think that you would have every right to feel that, it's a modern country thing that is true of, like since the 1970s.
That's wild. Because I very much see it as something that's anti-gay.
Yeah.
And think it's only been recently that they've been coming around. So that's interesting that its roots are gay.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Well, or at least more tolerant of queer people. It is. I'm making a little bit of a leap here, but I've got a doctor on my team. I think the idea that poor people used to be more tolerant of gay people, and then at some point became much, much less tolerant of gay people, and that's a more or less modern thing. I'm really interested in that idea.
That's surprising.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about the first super gay song. Am I doing that now, or am I doing that later? I forget where we landed.
I think now. I think you
No?
said no.
Okay,
I
so
forget. Wait. No. Yeah. I don't know.
what do you want?
I don't know. What do you want? I want a pizza.
Do you want pizza?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to talk to you about what many people consider to be the first overtly gay country song.
Okay.
Okay, and the story of how it came to be. So there is. Where do I want to start with this? It came out in 1939, Kyle. Came out in January of 1939. It's called "I Love My Fruit." And
Gay people didn't just appear at Stonewall.
people, yeah, exactly right. And it's by the Sweet Violet Boys.
Oh.
Violet has always been the color of violet or lavender.
Yeah.
Has always been the color of gay people in a coded way. But it was actually, that was, now this is where it gets problematic maybe. That was a band called the Prairie Ramblers, and they had a gay pianist named Bob Miller who wrote a bunch of tongue-in-cheek but very, very gay songs, and they accepted him and loved him in the fucking 20s, Kyle. Wanted to record these songs in part because they're hilarious, but couldn't release them under their actual band's name for fear of reprisal, that they were going to get kicked off the air or, you know, drummed out of the industry or whatever by society, because social attitudes were definitely shifting by then. But they came together, released an album under the name The Sweet Violet Boys, and the song "I Love My Fruit" is the first one. I will send this to you, but I thought we could listen to it for a little bit, and then I'll talk about the lyrics.
Okay.
Now I can sing the praises of pistachios, and I eat them till I almost bust. And I also like pecans and cashews. Yes, indeedy, I sure love my nuts. I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat, and no matter what it is, I like to eat.
So, yeah, the Sweet Violet Boys. Do you have a reaction, Kyle?
That could be risque even today.
It absolutely could be risque today. It is risque today.
Yeah.
And I
At
can't.
what point did they talk about wanting to bust?
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the lyrics of this song, because I think it's fucking hilarious. And I just want everybody to know that, like, it was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They knew exactly what they were doing. Like, if you think, oh, this is just an example of like an accident, or like, if you think this song is actually about fruit and nuts, then like you can be in denial if you want to, but you're wrong.
I mean, the first line is about fairies.
Berries.
Oh, I thought they said fairies.
No. Let's do the words
Okay.
here real quick. I'm wild about all kinds of berries.
I thought they said fairies, and I was like, oh, that's so gay. Okay.
Black and blue and raz and straw and red. But most of all, I like to guzzle cherries. And I eat them every night in bed.
But couldn't that be a woman then?
No, they're balls, Kyle. Like there's cherries always come in pairs.
No, but you pop their cherry is like a...
Yeah, but you don't
lose your virginity.
But you don't guzzle it.
That's true.
That's up in
But
there.
guzzling a dick is like the modern expression.
Okay. Maybe. Is it chugging cock? I don't know.
I don't think chugging cock has been around for that long.
Well, I think guzzling cherries is like, I think it's clearly testicles, but it's okay if you feel otherwise.
No, the rest of it goes on. Then it talks about like wanting nut and
Yeah. So I like to eat, and no matter what it is, I like to eat. Now I can sing the praises of pistachios, and I eat them until I almost bust. I also like pecans, and I like cashews. Yeah, baby, I sure like my nuts.
that's undeniable.
And then I love oranges, apples, pears, and peaches. Anything like that will always suit. I don't know what the rhyme is. This has question marks in it. I'm simply lost without my fruit. Let's skip that verse. The last verse, I am always hungry for bananas.
Yeah.
So that it almost seems to be a sin. There's no good like that when I'm all through eating. I still like to nibble on the skin. It's gay, gay, gay. Most people agree that it was meant to be gay, gay, gay.
Yeah.
And they knew exactly what they were doing, and it was 1930 fucking 9.
Wow.
Anyway, that's that song. I Love My Fruit by the Sweet Violet Boys. I've been beside myself all weekend since I found that song. So.
I don't have Gayda, but I do have some academic writing about queerness and country music.
Okay.
So this is from a book called The Oxford Handbook of Music and Queerness from 2022.
Because nobody knows country music like Oxford.
Sure. That seems pretty official though, right?
Right, yeah.
The chapter is called Gay Country, Trans-Americana, and Queer Sincerity. And they said that the Nutty Boys or
Sweet
whatever,
Violet Boys?
did they release a full album?
Yeah, they did.
Okay,
Yeah.
because this one said the first openly gay country album came out in 1973, so they might be wrong about that. Oh, openly gay.
Openly
That
gay.
must be it.
This was still very much like tongue in cheek.
Yep. Okay. Tongue in.
As opposed to tongue between cheeks.
Yep. First openly gay country album was Lavender Country by Patrick Haggerty, which was released not through a record label, but through the Gay Community Social Services, which is in Seattle,
Yep.
in 1973.
Yep.
And the book that this Oxford book said that Haggerty's voice is both earnest and campy, and that it offers gay and lesbian love songs and campy jokes. And which is interesting because like that song that you played is kind of campy too.
Super campy, yeah.
Let's see. Another thing that they wrote about country music is, quote, when music scholars write about genres that appeal to North American queer and or transgender participants, we have tended to look at almost any other type of popular or art music besides country. One notable exception is musician Katie Lang.
Oh my God. Which we've talked about her on the show before. If you're not familiar, Katie Lang in the early 90s came out as lesbian and was basically drummed right out of Nashville.
And apparently she has been analyzed. It says been analyzed for their ambiguous, queer, and sometimes camp and or performance art aesthetics. But she's an anomaly. Mostly people overlook queer country music is what this was saying.
Yep.
They also said country and related genres and its listeners are regularly assumed to invest in concepts of tradition, stasis, and this to me is the more modern sense. Now that I learned a little bit more about its origins, this is the more modern take of what country music is. Investive concepts of tradition, stasis, naturalness, conservative Christian religiosity, heteropatriarchy, and white supremacy. Ways of structuring life that make life difficult for many trans and queer people.
Yep.
So the modern sensibility of country music is kind of in opposition to, it's hard to be queer basically in country music given those values.
I mean, so much country music really is, and I love it. It's my family. It's where I come from. But so much of country music is absolutely, let's take the most toxically masculine shit and put it up on a pedestal and sing about it.
Yeah.
And that's not good for queer people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And it also said, when scholars and journalists address transgender and or queer people's musical performances, we have tended to focus on camp aesthetics and rebellious styles. And so camp came up over and over when talking about Katie Lang's music, when talking about the first openly country album. Like camp it's just interesting. I don't think that's not specific to country music. That's just the gay community. Like we love our camp.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think country music loves its camp too, which is the point, right? Like there were country music stars who wore like big pearl button shirts with fringe and glitter on them and like the biggest hats that you could find. There's nothing campier than like the stage cowboy in country music look. Fucking Dolly Parton came out of that aesthetic and that like sensibility, and she's like, she lost at a Dolly Parton drag queen competition because she looks like a drag queen. Like it is camp as fuck.
Yeah.
So much of it is.
So they should go hand in hand then.
Absolutely.
Have we done an episode on camp?
I don't know. I think camp would be even harder to like pin down. Like what the fuck does it mean? It's one of those like, you know it when you see it. It's over the top. It's flashy and gaudy. It's like, I don't, it's like the whole series Glee. Right? Like we should do an episode on it. I'd be afraid that we would fuck it up, but we
for
should.
sure. Yeah. That seems like
we should also do camping because banging in a tent is hot.
we've done camping.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
I remember it. Yes, we did it. We did it. Listen to that
We did it.
episode,
Yeah.
everybody, including me.
country songwriter Harlan Howard said country music is, quote, 3 chords and the truth. And this chapter talked about queer sincerity as rather than setting sincerity at odds with camp, we might hear queer sincerity as expressing yearn for earnestness with room for a camp wink.
Yeah.
And I think that's not just country music, that's the gay community. That's why drag queens exist. There is sincerity in their performances. There's good drag queens will speak to some kind of truth through their expression. And that's just, another example. But it's interesting how camp seems to be a facet of country music, and especially queer country music, in addition to this queer sincerity that they talked about of an earnest experience of what living is like.
Yep. Wild.
Yeah. That's what the Oxford Handbook says about queer country music.
Well, thanks, Oxford.
Thanks, Oxford. You've done the comma and now this.
Yep. I do love an Oxford comma.
Samesies.
Oh God, Lil Nas X is hot. Every time I go through my tabs, I end up seeing him.
Are you going to talk about him?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've talked about him plenty, I think.
Okay. He and I share the same birthday. I'm sure I've said that every time he comes up.
So I want to talk to you about Lavender Country, which you mentioned in the article from Oxford. And indeed...
It was, just to my credit, this was a chapter in a book. I read an entire chapter of a book for this show.
Wow.
Yeah, I just wanted that credit.
It's true, though, that, I've done way more reading because of this show than, any other thing in my entire life, and I have 2 bachelor's degrees. You know?
Yeah.
I was a copy editor
Yeah.
for a long time and read technical manuals. This shit is making me read, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. I want to talk to you a little bit more about Lavender Country and that whole project and what it was about. It has roots in Seattle, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But do I want to make you listen to another song? Oh my God. Okay. So I'll talk to you about Lavender Country, which is a band, and the self-titled release in 1973 is, exactly what you said, considered the first true queer country album. Again, other people have claimed to be, since we've started the show, to be the first gay country artist or the first gay country album. They're just wrong.
Are you talking about Steve Grand?
Steve Grand, or Lil Nas X got credit for being the first gay country, or no. It's just not true. It seems unlikely, and our institutional memory is so short as a species that we forget that these other people existed. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you about Patrick Haggerty, the guy that put together Lavender Country. So in 1970, that's the year after Stonewall, he moved to Seattle, Washington. As you said, he became involved with the Gay Community Social Services of Seattle, which is one of America's first such organizations for the queer community. But he formed Lavender Country in 1972, and the band played all up and down the West Coast at gay pride events, etc. And they... I didn't think about the order that I wanted to do all of this in, that's what I should do. Gayish. So Haggerty was clearly gay, too gay to function, Mean Girls style. And he didn't really have access to community, and that was a very, very difficult time for folks. The Lavender Scare when he was growing up, and the shifting attitudes of Americans. But this also goes to show that age is never an excuse. His dad, I guess, was an ally. So his dad was born in North Dakota in 1901, but still accepted and embraced Haggerty's, quote, self-described sissiness.
Oh.
He said that in Dry Creek, Washington in the 1950s, Haggerty was actually really popular, even though he was out and gay, or at least a sissy, which that's the terminology that was employed at the time. He would go to school in full drag as the mascot Peppy Pat, which is a character that Haggerty created himself. He was getting towards high school, and his parents and his 10 siblings, Jesus Christ, were worried that since he was the town's only sissy, he would face more bullying than he had in previous years. But his father gave him this advice, quote, "You'll be all right. Just remember this. You're no better than any of the rest of them, but you're just as goddamn good. And if anybody gives you any grief about that, hit them with your purse. Now, what's wild to me is that they were doing this. They became somewhat local celebrities, certainly in the Seattle gay scene, but up and down the West Coast, but also sort of mainstream. And there is this story that they got a friend who was a DJ at a local radio station here in Seattle to play this song.
I'm fighting for when there won't be no straight men, 'cause you all have a common disease. Can't give very much for loving and such, but you take it wherever you please. Don't wrap the story, tell me the glorious Galahad gallop in near. But your lies can't deceive me, you know that you'll leave me crying these cocksucking tears.
That song is from Lavender Country's inaugural album in 1973. It's called Crying These Cocksucking Tears.
Damn.
They got a radio station to play it here in Seattle, and the DJ lost her license.
Wow.
There were complaints. The FCC got involved, and they yanked her license so she could no longer be a DJ.
Yeah, I doubt you could play that on radio today.
No. No. But the lyrics, I'm fighting for when there won't be no straight men. Like, that's the gay agenda, man. He was a radical gay. Yeah. But anyway, I'm fighting for when there won't be no straight men because you all have a common disease. Can't hear very much for loving and such, but you take it wherever you please. You're half the story. You tell me the glory as Galahad's gallop is near, but your lies can't deceive me. I know that you'll leave me crying these cocksucking tears. Let's see. So he wrote crying these cocksucking tears, but there's a whole bunch of songs on that album, and all of them are super ass gay. There's Come Out Singin', Back in the Closet Again, which is a parody of a song Back in the Saddle Again.
Oh.
There's one called Lavender Country. There's one called To a Woman, Georgie Pie. There's 10 tracks on that album. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him on the show because he died in 2022.
Oh.
But we could. I wish we would have talked to him before he passed away. But just the idea that there's a whole album that this gay dude did that got radio play, even if it resulted in a firing, all of that was in 1973 and way earlier than I would have expected.
Yeah, same here. I did not realize that until I read this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mike, I think we've come to that time.
What time? No, Kyle. Oh, my God.
It's
Hold
Beyonce
on.
time.
No. Oh, okay.
Wait, what time did you think I meant?
You know what time I thought you meant.
No, I don't.
You're trying to get me canceled.
Oh.
Taylor Swift.
Oh. Yes. I was first going to start in my...
Hold on.
What?
In the Patreon segment, I'm going to talk about 20 LGBT allies in country music.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows that.
Okay.
Okay, now go.
I want to talk about other pop stars that have gone country.
Oh, God.
So Taylor Swift actually started country.
Yeah, she did.
And then went pop.
Carpetbagger. Sorry, I'm going to cancel myself. Go ahead.
That's all you needed. Just had to get that there. Madonna had a country song.
No.
Which, called Don't Tell Me. It's not actually that country. She just like the music video is like she's dressed in country clothes.
Putting on a bolo tie and a cowboy hat does not mean whatever shit's coming out of your face is country.
Yeah, you look up Madonna's country song and it's the song Don't Tell Me.
Great.
Kesha had a country song, which I played before we started, called Fancy Like.
Oh, I don't need no Bentley to impress me. I'll ride the bullet to the party like a jet ski. Boy, put that dumb down. Take me to Waffle House. Give me those cheap thrills chilling in the deep south. But every now and then when I get paid, I gotta spoil my baby with an upgrade. Hey. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that bourbon
sure you stay with the Oreo shake.
That was with Walker Hayes. I think you get a little bit more cred when you have an actual country singer singing with you
Sure.
on a song.
Yeah, like their aura comes with them and makes you seem more like that by extension.
There's a song
Country by association.
Exactly. I think Fancy Like might have started out as a just Walker Hayes song that then they later redid with Kesha. So that makes it feel country.
Okay. Yeah.
Like real country. And Pink did a country song called One Too Many with Keith Urban.
Okay. How country is that one?
I
love Pink, and I doubt I'll like it.
And I never meant to get so out my mind with you playing cool, just pretending it's fine. We've been round this too many times before. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I go out with some new friends, but it just makes me miss you more. I spend all my money drinking on my own, yeah. In this bar, just sat here staring at my phone.
It's like middle ground. Like Fancy Like feels country. This feels like middle. It's between Kesha and Madonna.
Okay.
I tried to look up if Britney had done a country song, and she has not. Luckily, she knows her lane.
Does she think she has?
I don't think so. There was a country remake on TikTok of "Oops, I Did It Again,"
Okay.
which was good.
All right.
But it's not. So other pop stars have done country singles, but it's not. I don't know who all has done full albums, but Beyonce did a full fucking country album.
Yep.
And it is called Cowboy Carter.
Yep.
And this is the second part of a 3-part project where Beyonce is essentially doing music that has its roots in Black history and has kind of been either whitewashed or taken over by, like, people don't realize the Black roots of some of these. So she did like house music with Renaissance. She's doing country this time. I think she's supposed to release a rock and roll album next.
I will listen to the shit out of that.
Yeah. Which I really respect, like, that kind of project. I saw an older interview with her that talks about how people don't put out albums anymore. They try to do like catchy singles, which I think is part of just how you have to play the game these days.
Except for T Swift, who apparently puts out an album and then makes you buy it 3 times so you can get the secret tracks. I don't know what any of that means, but that's what somebody was bitching to me about when I was at work this week.
You have to get Taylor's version now.
I guess so.
Anyway, so I had not listened to the album. And so I started listening to it. And I stopped because it's not my jam.
Yeah.
It's also like I don't know how country it is.
Okay.
There's Dolly Parton is on it. There's
Great.
Willie Nelson is
Great.
At least has a speaking part on it. So anyway,
Great.
I read the 2024 article on The Advocate by Michael Drew Kelly called "How Beyonce's Cowboy Carter Advances Equality."
Okay.
I was very curious how it advanced equality.
By bringing Black people to country music?
It's kind of, well, it's
bringing country music to Black people? Because that's harder.
I think it's more bringing pop fans to country music and country music fans together. This article said Beyonce is, quote, one of the world's most influential voices for love, equality, and unity. Is she? Is she though? And
this whole thing, we've talked about it over and over again. Like, gays love her. That's fantastic. Gays love all kinds of shit. But being loved by gays does not mean that you're an active ally.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. On her last album, she had a lot of trans and queer people work on the album that she put together, which is really cool. I think that's part of being an ally, is making sure that the people that you employ and the people that get credit for stuff are queer people. So that's awesome. Which I'll get to. But this is
oh my God, like Big Frida is on Break My Soul. Break My Soul.
Hole. Yeah. The what it comes down to is here's what the article said. Quote, Beyonce and others on her album will generate billions and billions of media impressions as she and Cowboy Carter rack up the nominations and wins across all music awards, especially with the coveted CMAs and Grammys in multiple categories, along with the red carpet appearances and related media, which will be a watershed for expanding greater acceptance and equality. Which we've talked about this whenever we do a episode on pop stars. We always talk about like, well, do they actually deserve to be a gay icon? And sometimes it's just gays like her is the what it comes down to. They don't actually do a whole bunch. And so this is something like, she is popular. She released this. It's going to get a lot of attention. It's going to bring pop fans and traditionally white country music fans together is what this article is saying. I don't know I don't know how much I care about that, or that I'm buying that she's advancing equality through this.
Okay.
Do you?
Like, I don't want to give her too much credit accidentally or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that there is something to be said for exposure therapy. And if because of Beyonce and Cowboy Carter, there are some white people who are country fans who are also dickbag fuckface assholes, listen to it and begin to have some sort of humanizing appreciation for black people, queer people, other ways of thinking than their own, that's moving the needle.
Yeah.
In whatever small way, I think that's moving the needle. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's see if this article also said, quote, Beyonce's musical accomplishments is akin to Jackie Robinson's in baseball or Halle Berry winning an Oscar.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I think this is getting a little bit too much credit, but I agree with you. There is something for the visibility that this will add to both the cross-pollination of these two groups that probably are difficult to come together and agree on anything.
Yeah.
They might be able to agree on Beyonce.
Yeah.
Not me.
Right.
I didn't really love this album. Yeah. Another article that I wanted to mention about, it's not an article, it's a forum post on gagadaily.com.
Okay, great.
By NYC Boy.
Sure.
Says, Renaissance is one of my favorite albums. I love that it's super gay sounding and genuinely feels like it united the queer community over the past 2 years and left a huge impact. It is a queer movement and celebration. Now that Beyonce released Texas Hold'em, I've been feeling a bit uncomfortable listening to it, and I wasn't exactly sure why, but I realized it. I'm kind of shocked at her hard pivot from queer dance music to middle of America country music that appeals to the straights, all within less than 2 years. Pitchfork called her new song car commercial music, and I agree it does sound like a car commercial with the cheesy whistling. Now that I look back on her last 2 years, it kind of feels to me like she used queerness and then disposed of it like a costume. If she continued making music for the gays or outwardly showing support for her gay fans like Madonna or Charlie XCX, I wouldn't feel this way. It would feel more authentic to her vision as an artist. What's your reaction to that feeling?
Well, first, something that you said early on in that made me realize or remember or think or whatever that, like, it can't be a country song because it talks about driving a Lexus.
So park your Lexus and throw your keys up. Stick around, round, 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 round. Stick around.
Yeah, not a Ford F-150.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, already there's something going on there.
Yeah.
Maybe she thinks that's low class in country.
Yeah, probably to her. Fucking Lexus, cheap shit.
But I think it's okay to be left behind. But how much of that is because of the hostility of the territory she's moving into? If, from a philosophical perspective, she's going into enemy territory to try to bring them our direction, of course she's leaving us behind. It's not safe for us to go there with her. Is that what's happening? I don't know, but that's like a felt sense that, like, we don't have to go with her everywhere if what she's trying to do is mend bridges.
Yeah, and I also think the overarching span of her project of these 3 albums, if you don't understand what she's doing, I can understand why it may feel like she's leaving you behind. She doesn't owe anything to queer people. I mean, I think she does owe something to queer people, but she doesn't have to make everything for queer people all the time, always. And she's one of her important qualities is bringing Black culture to the projects that she's doing, at least, these 3 albums that she's assembling. And so, like, that's...
Well, and a history lesson that those things came from Black culture to begin with.
Yep.
So, yeah. For
exactly. Sure. So, like, yeah, I could see how someone might feel that way. I don't agree that that's what's happening. And she's allowed to release a country album if she wants to, because she's fucking Beyonce.
Yeah.
With that said, I didn't really like it. I like Texas Hold'em, and that's about it.
Okay, great.
There's a song with Miley Cyrus, which Miley Cyrus is my speed, but it's just...
Not into that one.
I'll be your shotgun rider till the day I die. Smoke out the window flying down the 405. I'll be a backseat baby, driving you crazy anytime you like.
I liked that one. I liked.
Oh,
that
really?
cut. Yeah, it's so weird. Their voices do not belong together. Like, and it just is so. It's so like. It's so much good friction to listen to. I'm like,
good friction.
Yeah,
that could be Cowboy Carter's subtitle.
Good friction.
I think.
But seriously, her voice, Miley's voice is so weird, and Beyonce's voice is so pure, and they just do not mesh. I like the song a lot, and it's wild.
You've listened to it?
Yeah.
The album?
No, but I listened to that cut.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Have you listened to Jolene?
Yeah.
How do you feel about her remake?
Well, Dolly blessed it, which is great. I like that the words were changed, and apparently Dolly gave her consent for that. So it makes for an interesting listen because you're like, I know this, but it's different. But it's not just because somebody different is singing it. It's actually I like it.
Yeah, I like her take on it too.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the album does a lot to try to justify itself in the process. Like it has like these
of course
interludes.
it's country. Here comes Dolly. Here comes Willie. Here comes.
Well, I'm fine with pulling from existing country talent as part of a tactic to make sure it's really country. But also like they have these little interludes that are like genres can't be defined. Like it has these like spoken word things that kind of feel like it's justifying itself in the process rather than just being, which I didn't really like. And I don't know, my favorite album by Beyonce is still the album Beyonce by Beyonce.
Great.
So I don't know that she'll ever top that for me.
What'll never top anything about Beyonce to me is Maya Rudolph doing her on Hot Ones on Saturday Night Live.
I saw that.
What else you got?
I could read some quotes from queer country artists if you want. I don't know. What do you have?
Well, I did want to talk about this lesbian just because, like,
sure.
I know that we focus on. It's just back into history, Kyle.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'll do it real quick.
Okay.
So there is a country musician named Wilma Burgess, and she had several hits in the 60s that included a song called Misty Blue.
Just the thought of you turns my whole world to misty blue.
And a song called Baby.
Baby, sweet, sweet baby, without you I don't know how I'll go on.
And a lot of people say that she was the first out country singer. She was not publicly out because, especially in the 60s, the music industry would not let her do that and keep her job. But she privately said that she did not want to play straight, that she would toe the line as much as she had to, but she insisted that the majority of her songs, quote, remained gender neutral or ambiguous. So she talks about being in love and her person, but never implies the gender of that person in her songs. And she was a full-on dyke behind the scenes, though. By 1978, good year, she had grown frustrated with the piousness of the country music scene and left the business. She just couldn't take it anymore. And she used all of the money that she'd made in music and opened Nashville's first lesbian bar called The Hitching Post.
Oh, nice.
Which I hope it's still there. That I didn't investigate. But yeah, even she was out as much as she could be at the time, and like full on lesbian, opened a lesbian bar in Nashville. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing that I didn't talk about that I kind of wanted to was like Katie Lane, which we touched on, and then other folks that have been gay and involved in country music, whether they got credit for it or not, like Lil Nas X, touched on him. Shelley Wright came out and basically got Katie Langed. Brandy Carlisle, although she's more than just country is queer and has roots in country music. There's a band called the Brothers Osborne, and they're on a major label. And in 2021, one of the brothers, TJ, came out and apparently at least survived the coming out process, probably because his brother is straight and is carrying the banner for not getting canceled. I don't know. And we talked about Steve Grand, who I don't think is actually country. I think that whole thing was a giant lie, and I would tell him that to his face if he would return my calls.
Beautiful face. We need to just throw out the name Orville Peck.
Orville Peck, yes.
We said it. You don't have to email us.
What do you know about him?
He just wears that shit in front of it. He's like does the Sia, where he wears the little things in front of his face.
He does the Sia. Arguably, he's better at it than she is. There are less pictures of him without his thing than there are of her without her
but
thing.
But it's clear he's hot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I watched a like it was like MTV Cribs, but not. It was like Architectural Digest or some shit. Did a tour of his house. It was really interesting. He has really only been around since 2019, but he's from South Africa, which that is wild. He was born in Johannesburg, and then via Canada entered country music, which is wild. He is super private about a bunch of things other than the fact that he's gay as hell. And but he won the GLAAD Vito Russo Award this year at the GLAAD Media Awards.
And Jennifer Lawrence presented it.
Which, that's great.
Yeah.
I would love to be in the green room just to see that interaction, because like they're wild. But also, just like when did that get released?
I believe Jennifer Lawrence said something like, "It's so great to see so many of you top your fields, even though you're power bottoms."
Love that.
She had some good writers.
Orville Peck released an album this year, and one of the cuts off of that album is a remake of Cowboys Are Frequently Secretly Fond of Each Other with Willie Nelson on the track.
Cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other. What did you think all them saddles and boots was about? There's many a cowboy who don't understand the way that he feels for his brother. And inside every cowboy there's a lady that loves to slip out.
Which we've talked about that song before. I'm trying to remember when. It was a long ass time ago. But Willie Nelson in 2006 covered this song that was written in 1981 by a gay country musician named Ned Sublette. And Willie Nelson was like, sure, I'll sing that gay ass song. and did. And it wasn't a hit by any means, but Willie Nelson's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he and Orville Peck redid that song this year. And the video is so sad.
Oh.
Because Willie is like 90 something, and like you can tell there's like Weekend at Bernie's propping him up to get him through the video. But I think it's really cool. Also, some of the lyrics are like clearly dated, but the fact that Orville Peck is like singing them anyway, I think sort of sends the message that it's okay in a way, because it confuses gender and sexuality. If you don't go listen to the song, we can talk about it if you want to.
Yeah.
But that song's wild.
A song I wanted to mention, you mentioned Brandy Clark. She co-wrote the song Follow Your Arrow, which was a song by I think Miranda Lambert. And that was a huge, by Casey Musgraves. Which one? By Casey Musgraves.
Casey Musgraves.
Make lots of noise, kiss lots of boys, kiss lots of girls, if that's something you're into. When a straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up the joint, or don't. Just follow your arrow wherever it points.
Have you heard that song?
Yeah.
Do you like it? Okay.
It's fine.
I like that song. It's one of the few country songs that I have heard. A friend played that for me.
That you don't skip.
Yeah, exactly. The lyric in there is, so make lots of noise, kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls. If that's something you're into. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up a joint, or don't. Just follow your arrow wherever it points. And that
What a way to ride the fence, Casey.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
do
the
it
whole-
or don't. If you're into this, if you want to.
That's
Like-
literally the entire song is like, do it or don't do it, whatever the fuck you want to do. And that was both a hit, and Brandy Clark wrote on it and has been credited for moving country music forward.
Do you mean Brandy Carlisle?
Brandy Clark is a co-writer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Brandy Clark said, quotes, "With the climate of the world, it feels really important now for me to be more out and open. Who knows who's going to be listening to me in the flyover states that's going to draw strength from, oh, she's gay too? Man, if she's gay and doing that, maybe I could do that."
Yeah.
And I feel like...
People who live in flyover states love it when you call them flyover
I know,
states.
right? But if she's country and calling them flyover states, that feels like it's okay. It's like they're allowed to... Flyover state people are allowed to call them flyover states.
It's so weird. Rural culture is so weird. They're probably like proud of being called flyover states. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want your fucking plane here anyway.
Yeah, fuck oceans. I hate oceans. I love being landlocked.
Nothing near oceans but liberals and sushi. Fuck that.
Before you talked about the gay roots, my sense is that in the past 10, 15 years, and especially the last few years, we have been having this greater gay influence in country music that I think is a good sign. And I think it's still, you mentioned it being hostile territory. I think it still is, but is getting better.
Yeah.
And I think the past several years have been huge in moving that forward, and there's still a very long way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I put it in the category of places like the NFL. Like, there are just some things that it's like, how advanced are they in LGBT acceptance and equality? And it feels like early days. But we're at least having we had the first gay country album back in the 70s, so it's not new, but like, we're having these popular gay artists come out and gay-ish songs that are coming out, and it's okay, and they can still win awards and be on the red carpet and shit, and that feels new.
Yeah. And don't let perfection or the lack thereof prevent you from celebrating progress. Like, I think it's okay to celebrate progress while recognizing we have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
There are people out there that have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not perfect, so fuck them.
Yeah.
Like, just come on.
Yeah. And I also think that a lot of LGBT people feel excluded from country music. And this is one of those things that I think makes people feel like they're not gay enough when they like country music. I think this is one of like, oh, you don't love pop music, and Cher and Madonna and Patti LuPone. And, when you like country music, I feel like this is one way that we use to exclude people. So I think it's important to be like, if you love country music, awesome. Love country music. Do it. Like, hopefully don't listen to outwardly homophobic people.
Right.
Hopefully try to support people that are not that. But
yeah, but you can find dickbag fuckface assholes in every industry. Just look at what's going on with P. Diddy right now.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I support gay country listeners.
Well, good, because I'm one of them, Kyle.
You are one of them.
And I don't feel threatened by it at all.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm also the stereotype of listening to gay pop music.
Yeah.
So I fit in there.
Yep. I feel like we needed a disclaimer or something. You know, like when they do a news story on CNN and they're like, we need to make it clear that like this company we're going to talk about is owned by our parent company. Mm-hmm. Like I've gotten paid to play country music before.
Yeah. At a VA hall, which is pretty country.
True story. Although I never get paid for that. That's just where our family has our reunions.
Oh. Don't they give you free drinks?
Yeah. Or drinks appear and I drink them.
Oh, okay. That's when that happens for us at live shows sometimes. Drinks just appear in front of us.
Absolutely true.
One of the best things about live shows.
Absolutely.
Oh, and meeting the fans. But yeah, but mostly the free drinks that show.
The way to Kyle's heart is through his liver, everybody. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Did we do it?
Sure.
In the Patreon segment, I'm going to talk about 20 pro LGBTQ country quotes around the word stars, but like and the reasons that they deserve that allyship label.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. You want to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break, y'all.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Do you have your Gayest and Straightest?
I sure do.
Whoa.
I sure do. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Great. Should we just go then?
Yeah.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest. But first,
rate, review, subscribe, and recommend.
the 4 R's make a comeback.
The 4 R's. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
If you like country music and want other people to know how gay it is, send this episode to someone.
Yeah. That's the recommend part.
That's the recommend part. Also, rate and review.
And subscribe.
Subscribe. I don't think it's called subscribe anymore. I think it's like follow in Apple Podcasts.
Well, I don't give a fuck, Kyle. The 4 R's, it's a bit. We have to stick
we have
to
to
it.
hold, yeah. And there's
Commit to
nothing
it.
we know. It's hanging on to bits long after they're outlived their
You just got to
usefulness.
keep doing it until it becomes funny again.
Yep, exactly.
Our website's gayishpodcast.com.
We are on socials at Gayish Podcast. You can go see all of our communities and social media at gayishpodcast.com/contact.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
Our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. God, I need to go check our mail.
Especially before June, before you're gone forever.
Oh, yeah, I'm leaving for a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Gayest and Straightest?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the gayest thing about me this week is being at work and stopping a meeting to talk about all of my fashion choices for the event that we were doing in San Francisco this week. I had to pull out all of my hat choices, and I had shoes choices, and I had gold pants versus sequin pants because I was a game show host for a thing that we did at this happy hour. And then I realized this is the gayest thing ever.
Yeah.
Which Marcy told me, this is your gayest thing ever.
Oh, that's always nice. And you get a little reminder hey, write this down. You're going to need this.
And then the straightest thing about me is that of all of the hats, the only one that fit my giant noggin was the baseball hat. So I ended up wearing a baseball hat all day Wednesday like a bro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Bro it up.
Yeah. But I might be a baseball hat gay now.
Oh,
No, I'm not. That's not a thing. And I don't want to be.
Oh, you could be.
No.
Okay. Mike says no.
How about you, Kyle?
My gayest is that I'm binging Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've been doing that as long as I've known you, which says something about how long that show's been on the air.
Well, I restarted it recently from the beginning.
Are they still releasing episodes?
Still releasing episodes.
Is anybody from the first episode still on the current episode?
Ellen Pompeo.
She is?
Yep, still in it.
She's just made a deal with the devil.
I think she's done interviews where she was like, I decided this is what I'm going to do. And that's great because a lot of people that left haven't necessarily had careers.
Is Dr. Bailey still around?
I think so. I'm not to current seasons yet, so I don't know who's still in it. I think maybe Dr. Weber might still be around. Sure. But yeah. I don't know. It's just gay because it's drama and it just feels like a gay show.
Yeah. And scrubs are hot.
Scrubs are hot. And the straightest is the fact that I stopped listening to Cowboy Carter halfway through.
Yeah, right. It's no.
I know I'm supposed to love Beyonce because I'm gay and I'm supposed to love everything she does. But I was like, you know what? I want to listen to music I like. Mm-hmm. So I stopped and just listened to music I like.
Don't let anybody peer pressure you into anything you don't want to do, Kyle.
I thought you were going to say, don't let anyone peer pressure you into Beyonce.
Well,
or that.
True.
Yeah.
We have a listener's Gayest and Straightest. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending them into voicemail. I had dreams for years that we would have this be a common, regular thing, and it's turned into that, and it's all because of you.
Yeah.
Blowjobs for everyone. You just got to find me to collect them.
Find Mike and collect your blowjob, everybody.
Hey, Mike and Kyle. This is Empire, and I'm calling with my Gayest and Straightest. This week, my straightest was changing a tire, or rather plugging a tire on the side of the road in the desert of California. And my gayish was getting a blowjob in a Indescript music festival shower. So that's my Gayest and Straightest. Thank you for everything you guys do. Bye.
Empire.
The transcript for the Google Voice thing that it gives you did little asterisk for blowjob. It was I recognize that word and I'm not going to show it to you. Wow, blowjob, you were too risque even for Google Voice.
Yeah. And I also think pumping anything up in the desert is maybe gay.
Oh, gay?
I don't know.
No, it's straight.
Pumping something? Anyway.
Oh.
Tire work, though. That's
Tire work.
That's straight.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
We talked about a lot of country music.
Yeah, we did.
A thank you to all 20 of the people that I mentioned that are stars, asterisk,
Quote, yeah,
that have supported us
on the Patreon segment.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the gay country listeners you belong to. Your choices are just as valid as pop music.
I'm with Kyle, and I'm with you. I'm with everyone.
I'm with her. And I want to thank the following Super Cat Bridgers. Thank you to Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squoggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Osel, Harry Shaw, Jonathan Montañez, Wadu, Forrest Nail, Patrick Martin, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. This is it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
See you next week.
Y'all.
Putting the cunt in country.